According to Adam Schefter, Eagles standout cornerback James Bradberry will be back next season after signing a very team-friendly deal. What could this mean on chances to land CJ Gardner-Johnson as well? And the Eagles agreed to terms with Seahawks former running back Rashaad Penny plus Boston Scott. Why the Birds will have an even better ground game next season. But first, let's run it. Hey everybody, Josh Davis here, and we've got some incredible news. First, make sure to like and subscribe, but James Bradberry will be back. The fantastic news that we've been waiting for. Honestly, there had been too much quiet. All of a sudden, you start seeing some deals that we'll get into here in a second, but this is one of the really big marquee signings that we were hoping for quite some time. The day has been crazy. It's been nuts. I've had to re-record the show about 3 times because right as we start to record or finish recording, more news breaks. So, up to date, as of this recording, this is accurate that James Bradberry is the latest and biggest signing so far that Howie's accomplished, but I'll get into it in a little bit, but why it'll be important for CJ Gardner-Johnson. So take a look. Adam Schefter breaks the news. All-pro cornerback James Bradberry is returning to the Eagles on a 3-year deal worth $38 million, including $20 million fully guaranteed and another $6 million in incentives per source. Total package is $44 million. That's incredible. That's an awesome discount deal. We had been looking at so many different numbers and thinking there's really not a realistic way that Howie can figure out how to keep James Bradberry. But as you saw, some cornerbacks like Dean who had signed for team-friendly deals, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, maybe is the market possible? And it had been very quiet for a long time. Also, I think it's important to mention that James Bradberry obviously wanted to return to Philly. So there was a quote that Josina Anderson had gotten from him here, and it says why he returned or why he wanted to return to Philly. It says, quote, "I went back because of the familiarity with the coaching staff, because I love the city and playing for Eagles. They also gave me a deal around what I was looking for. Yes, there were other teams that offered me more, but I feel like Philly fit me the best," end quote. Come on, thumbs up for that. Like for James Bradberry. He's a Philly guy. I mean, he loves the city. He loves the fans. He loves the team. He loves the organization playing for this group. He could have obviously gotten more money. So love to see that he stuck to it and he said, you know what? I want to give this another ride. You can guarantee yourself that Jalen Hurts is a big reason why. Nick Sirianni is a big reason why. And I believe CJ Gardner-Johnson is another big reason why, because we have not seen any other reports from CJ Gardner-Johnson except for no news is good news. What we found was yesterday, and you guys may have seen this, but reports were that CJ Gardner-Johnson was kind of flirting with the idea of maybe joining Cincinnati Bengals. He was tweeting some of their players. They were going back and forth on Twitter. And as you see here, Bengals journalist for The Athletic who covers the Cincinnati, Scott Shanahan, says sources, the Eagles and Bengals are 2 finalists for standout safety Chauncy Gardner-Johnson. Bengals are currently seen as a frontrunner due to guaranteed money, but the 25-year-old wants to give Philadelphia a chance to match. So, just like what we saw with Bradberry, I think CJ Gardner-Johnson is going to give Philly a chance to match, and he would prefer to stay in Philly. Also, if you look at a tweet here from Thomas Peterson, he's showing kind of the breakdown of what we talked about earlier, the different money and what people have gotten. So Von Bell signs for $7.5 million a year, Jesse Bates for $16 million a year, both at projected value, and CJ has a projected value of $12.5 million per year. Before all these signings had happened, there was the idea that CJ Gardner-Johnson could probably get somewhere around $20 or $18 million a year, possibly, but because the market hasn't really yielded that, at $12.5 million a year, you got to believe that Howie can get something done. He's going to figure out a way to make this work. You see Bradberry signing the deal, and a lot of times players talk, as we know. So the fact that Bradberry signs makes me believe that not only is Slay staying, you've got Bradberry now you're going to get CJ Gardner-Johnson. We'll have to see how this plays out, but like it because the secondary is in great shape. Okay, moving on here and talking about another signing, and you guys may have already seen this too, but Rashaad Penny, he was signed by the Eagles. So according to Ian Rappaport here, the Eagles have agreed to terms with Seahawks running back Rashaad Penny. Now, you may be asking first at the sign of that isn't that the guy who's constantly injury prone and doesn't really play very many games, and should we be concerned? Yeah, that's fair, completely. He's only played 18 games over the last 3 seasons, so that was also my concern initially. But as you start looking into it a little bit more, this is a guy who's a beast when he's on the field. Now, again, when he's on the field, he's not going to be asked to be a bell cow running back. You just signed, and we'll get into it here too, but the Eagles also just re-signed Boston Scott, and we've already got Kenny G. So you're starting to see it take shape as, you know what, the running back situation is going to be running backs by committee, as it has been, but Rashaad Penny's not going to be having to take 10 or 15 carries a game probably. I mean, he may have 7 or 8 carries a game, and you space it out with Kenny G, give some to Boston Scott and Jalen Hurts. This team's going to be phenomenal. So I think that it's in great spot. I want to give a little bit of credit too to Brennan Deej because he had mentioned on Twitter, this was like 5 days ago, but he said the Eagles right here, you can see Eagles should take a swing at Rashaad Penny in free agency. He's battled injuries, but he's been a force when healthy. 1,095 rushing yards with 8 TDs over the last 2 seasons, good for 6.2 yards per carry. The guy over his career, I think, is averaging 5.7 yards per carry, only 2 fumbles in his entire career. Let's remember, Miles Sanders had a little bit of a fumbling issue, 8 in his entire career. I know he shirted up a little bit over the past couple seasons, but it's not like he was the most reliable. And so mentioning Miles Sanders too, the other question may be, well, is there a chance of him staying? I think we know the writing's on the wall now. Obviously, he will be leaving. And he tweeted, as you can see here, to the city of Philadelphia, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's sad to see Sanders leave, and he did. He played phenomenal, but he can get a much bigger and better deal somewhere else, and it's evident that there's no way the Eagles are going to match this, especially with the signing of Bradberry now, probably likely, what I think, CJ Gardner Johnson. You just signed Rashaad Penny and Boston Scott. You already have Kenny G locked up. It just doesn't make sense. So Miles Sanders, thumbs up to him. Best of luck. Well wishes, but I think you've got the solidified backfield now, and you're seeing what's going to take shape. Okay, lastly, moving on here, Kyzir White is another name we need to get you caught up on, but Kyzir White is a member who is going to be gone. Now, it's not a huge surprise, but according to the report, you take a look here from Jordan Schultz, breaking free agent linebacker Kyzir White is signing a 2-year deal, $11 million max deal with the Arizona Cardinals, sources tell The Score. He played a crucial role with the Eagles defense last season, totaling 110 tackles, 7 pass breakups, and 3 tackles for loss. Okay, he's going to follow Gannon. Gannon, loved using him in his scheme and his system. I think it's probably going to be a very good fit. And we didn't really think that Kyzir White was going to stay, especially after TJ Edwards left and when Howie was not willing to sign him back, or at least to match a deal close to what TJ Edwards got. You kind of figured the writing's on the wall there too, and Kyzir White would be gone. So officially now he is. It moves him away, and you have the question now, it's Nakobe Dean and who else? Maybe a free agent, maybe someone that drafts, but the cards are now on the table, and Howie has some work to do as far as linebackers. So be curious to see what he does, what the thoughts will be there. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What are we going to do at linebacker? What's the situation there? Just where the Eagles are currently at with the state of things. Dave Zingaro had been following this or tracking for Eagles free agency updates. Signing with the Eagles, Rashaad Penny. You can obviously add now Boston Scott and James Bradberry. Staying, Jason Kelsey, Brandon Graham, and then leaving TJ Edwards, Javon Hargrave, Andre Dillard, Marcus Epps, and Kyzir White. Now, why that's important, the most important piece of who's leaving and staying, really, other than obviously figuring out the roster, is what's the comp pick situation like? Because that's always the big rumor of, okay, what are you going to get or what are you going to have to give away? So if you look at it here, this is a report from Jimmy Kempski of the Philly Voice, and he shares here, looks like 4 current, and 4 is the max for those that are wondering, but you see Javon Hargrave, Andre Dillard, TJ Edwards, and Marcus Epps. It's basically equating to 1 third-rounder and 3 sixth-rounders in next year's draft. I think so far, that's great. You could get more if there's a better draft pick or there's some trading off. You could lose or replace with a different one, but we'll just have to see how it takes shape. But for right now, I think that the Eagles are in fantastic shape. Thumbs up, give it a like for how the Eagles are situating, because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, let me know what you guys think, but I think the Eagles are going to be fantastic next year. You're starting to see this team is coming together. What pieces are going to be filled, and what pieces are the Eagles going to be lacking? It'll also shake up things completely for drafts, for drafts and for mock drafts. So we'll love to know what you guys think. But given the recent news now, what's the top priority for the Eagles in the draft? Let me know in the comments below. All right. Lots more news to come. I'm sure we'll get more updates and crazy breaking news maybe tonight or even going into tomorrow. So we'll be sure to keep you up to date on all that's happening. Hopefully we get the big news on CJ Gardner Johnson. But reminder as well, live show tomorrow with Thomas Mott of the Thomas Mott Show, 7 o'clock Eastern. Be sure to check in. Tune in for that. Would love to know your guys' thoughts. We'll take a lot of Q&A on who the Eagles should draft, the updates, what the team's looking like, depth chart, and everything there. But appreciate you guys joining always. Make sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Josh Davis, and this has been The Philly Special.